Once we click on the Edit Media tab, we launch the Edit Media interface. This is the nonlinear editor that comes along with the TriCaster. It's a very powerful nonlinear editor that can be used for more than just editing your video. We can also use it for file format conversion or scaling your video. Let's take a look. The thing that's different about our editor than most other editors is that we have both a timeline and a storyboard. So I'm just going to start out by looking at my hard drive, and we're going to go into Media, and we're going to go find our clips wherever we have them stored on the drive. Now, one of the interesting things about this editor is that even though I haven't imported anything into the editor, we're just browsing the hard drive, I can still mouse over the clips and they will play back for me. If I'm mousing over a clip and it's playing back, if I hold down the Shift key, it will play in fast forward. If I hold down the Alt key, it will play in reverse. And if I hold down Shift and Alt, it will play quickly in reverse. So it's a real easy way of determining what your clips are and bringing them in the order that you want to bring them into the edit. But again, we can use this more than just for editing our video. For instance, let's say someone shows up at your live production with some video clips that they want to include in the production. You don't know what resolution they are or what file format they are. This editor will allow you to bring in just about any file format and just about any resolution, HD or SD. So you can simply bring a clip right into the editor will recognize it, and at this point you can just say you want to render it. And when rendering from the Edit Media tab in TriCaster, you have a variety of render options on the way out, including iPod MPEG-4, QuickTime for Apple Mac, MPEG for DVD authoring, AVI for Microsoft. Of course, we have our own proprietary format, and this is the TriCaster format, and we do it with and without alpha channels. So again, we can create motion graphics here with transparency and save them out with that alpha channel and then use them in the DDR back in our live production environment as a graphic overlay. So not only is this a great editor, it's also a great graphics compositing tool for quickly creating motion graphics. We can also save out as Flash and Windows Media to go direct to web with our output from the editor. But again, if I'm going to be using this clip in the DDR inside of my TriCaster, I want to save it out as either TriCaster AVI or TriCaster Overlay with Alpha Channel. And those are our file formats, which will allow you to use those in the DDR and do everything else that the TriCaster does simultaneously without having any kind of performance hit. Now, another way that we can use this editor is to scale our video. And very often, we may be working in 16:9 or 4:3, and someone brings us video clips, and of course they are whatever we're not working in. Murphy's Law, that's always the way it works. Well, you can very easily take a clip into the editor and come up here to the Control tab. And under Control, it brings up our positioner. So with the positioner now, I can, as I move the mouse around, you'll see that the little words underneath the cursor change. So I'm changing my modes here from the rotate mode into the crop mode, into the smoothing mode, into the sizing mode, and as I move around I get all of the different things that I can do to this piece of video. Well, if I've got a 4:3 piece of video and I want to use it in my 16:9 presentation, I'm going to use the sizing tool here, and I'm just going to go ahead and blow this up so that it fills the screen horizontally. And then, because I've sized it, not stretched it, I have room up top here. I can go ahead and I can move this down, get a little bit more headroom in there for what I'm looking at. And now I've effectively sized this clip from 4:3 up to 16:9. Again, at this point, I'm ready to come down here and render this out as my new clip to use as a 16:9 clip in my DDR in my live production in the TriCaster. Now let's go ahead and we'll select this clip and hit the delete key, and that will remove it from our timeline. We'll go back to our media bin, and let's talk about actually editing our video. Now, the editor that comes with the TriCaster is one of the fastest editors you'll ever use, and it's great when you're working in that live production time crunch environment. For instance, let's say I wanted to edit these videos together quickly and easily. Well, just like in the requester when you're loading up a DDR, you can hold down the control key and you can click on the clips in the order that you want to bring them into the edit. It will remember the order that you click on the clips, and when we bring them into our storyboard, they're already in that order, ready to go. Now we do have a timeline, and I can get to it by clicking on the timeline tab right over here, and it shows me the timeline. When we're in the timeline mode, to navigate this interface, you want to bring the cursor up into the timeline area, this gray timeline where you can actually see the numbers, and the cursor turns from the actual pointer into a line with arrows going left and right. At this point, you can right-click and hold the mouse button, and dragging the mouse forward and back will zoom you, and dragging the mouse left and right will allow you to pan. So it's very easy, and it's also mouse sensitive. So if I wanted to zoom in to the end portion, I would put the cursor right over the end portion, right-click, and when I zoom in, I'm zooming in right on that end portion. Again, if I want to zoom in the beginning, put the cursor over the beginning. Now I'm zooming in on the beginning portion. So that's how we can navigate our timeline. You can also, with nothing selected in the timeline, if you double-click in this unused gray area, it will automatically auto-fit the entire project so that you can see the entire thing. Let's go back over to the storyboard. This is the way that I like to work, especially when I'm trying to do quick and dirty edits to get them done and get them into my live production. Storyboard is very visual and very conceptual. I can see the project right in front of me, and if I want to make changes, I literally just grab a video clip and drag it to wherever I want it to be in the edit. I can left-click and drag out a box and multiply select clips. Again, left-click on the selected clips, and I can move them as a group in the edit. Now, what about setting in and out points? We can go to the right or the left side of the clip and hold down the Alt key, and you'll see that the cursor turns into an in point. Now, left-clicking and dragging allows me to set the in point right on the storyboard. Again, if I come over to the right side and hold down the Alt key, I can now set an out point. You'll notice the two lines in the icon right here, and the purple line represents my video in and out points, and the green line represents my audio in and out points. You can also do things like split edits. We can hold down Alt and Control at the same time, and now we can adjust the audio separate from the video. So we could have the audio continue past the video, or we can have the audio stop before the video stops. And we can, of course, do that on the front end just as easily. Once we do have in and out points set on a clip, we may want to change the portion of the clip that's playing back, but not the duration of the clip. Here we hold down Alt and Shift, and we can now do slip and slide, and we can move the in and the out point at the same time. Again, we're just changing the portion of the clip, not the duration of the clip at that point. So we can go through and set all of our in and out points this way. We can also come here traditionally in the timeline and set in and out points the way that we would normally set our in and out points. You can grab the end of a clip and you can adjust it normally the way that you would adjust a clip in any timeline. And we can, of course, adjust the in point just as easily. I can also select the clip and right-click on it and disable the audio or the video if I just want to use one or the other. Now that I've got my clips in the order that I want them to play, I want to put some transitions in between the clips. The easiest way of doing this is hitting Alt-F. Alt-F on the keyboard is going to put a fade in between every clip that's currently selected. And if no clips are currently selected, it's going to treat everything as being selected. So Alt-F will put a fade in between every clip for me instantaneously. Again, if I go back to my timeline, we can now see that we have transitions in between all of our clips. At this point, I'm ready to add an audio track. Adding an audio track is as easy as dragging it onto the timeline. I'm going to come out and find my audio clips, find the track that I want to use, and drag it down. There are no audio or video tracks in this editor, so we can put as many audio and as many video layers in here as we want. There is no limit whatsoever. Using standard definition clips, we're probably going to get 4 to 5 layers before we ever render anything. And any renders that occur inside the editor are background renders. So they do not stop you from continuing to work. They render in the background. Most of the time, you don't even know it's happening. I now have my audio clip in my project. I'm going to go to the end of the project now. And if I want to go ahead and stop the audio clip right there, 2 keyboard shortcuts that I use very often are I and O for in point and out point. So first I want to find the in point because there's some stuff happening with the music here in the beginning. And I want to start, I'm going to zoom in, I want to start right about here. So with the audio clip selected, I hit I for in point. It now sets that as my in point. Now I go to the end of my project, and again the audio clip still selected. I hit O for out point, and I've now set my in and my out point on my audio. We can also set in and out points on video clips this same way. Select the video clip, scrub to the portion where you want the in point to be, and hit the I key for in point. Now, since I had a transition set up on the end here, it had to move the clip in. I made it shorter. I'm going to select this transition. Let's zoom in on this area. And another interesting thing about this editor is if I take 2 clips and I simply push them together, it will automatically create a crossfade between those 2 clips for me. Now, all of the audio associated with these video clips I don't need. So I'm going to select all of the audio and hit the delete key. And I've just removed the audio. Now I want to move this track up. With one track, of course, I could just slide it up, but another interesting trick is we can right-click and say we want to collapse the empty tracks. And this is going to collapse everything down as best it can. Again, because I shortened that clip, my audio is now going beyond the video, so I can just get to the end of the project, select the audio, and hit the O key to reset the out point. Now I may want to fade the audio up. So again, I'm going to zoom in, and I also have on my timeline, I have a little magnifying glass down here that I can left click on, and I can zoom vertically. So we can zoom in and see what we're dealing with here. Now, as I move around even a clip, you'll see that my cursor says in point, where I can set the in point. But as I come down here, it turns into FD. And this stands for fade. So this will allow me to manually put a fade up right in that clip. And again, if I play that from the beginning, space bar is your keyboard shortcut for playing and pausing. We can see that we have a nice fade up going on now, which is what I wanted. Now if I want the music to fade up, I can do the same thing. Come down here until it says FD on the bottom, left click, and drag in an audio fade. And you can see the audio fade right on the waveform as you drag it in. Okay. I'm going to click in the gray area to make sure that nothing is selected. And now I'm going to double click in the gray area, and that'll auto-fit my project. Let's go to the end of the project and do the same thing. We're going to come out here to the end. I zoom in with my right mouse button, pushing away. I'm going to grab the fader handle and put a fade out, grab the music fader handle, and equal that fade out. So now we have a nice fade out at the end. Now I've got a basic project put together. I've got ins and out points set. I've got transitions in. I've got a nice music bed underneath it. Now maybe I want to add a title. We simply come up. Again, we want to be in our Media Bin tab, and we want to click on Titles. Here we have access to our templates, and the TriCaster comes with a wide variety of templates, just like in our Text tab and our Edit Text tab. We have templates that we can use. We can scroll through and see a wide variety of these. If I want to use one of these, I can simply grab it and drag it right down onto the timeline. I'm going to scrub the time bar over it, and you can see that we now have our CG in here. Now with the CG selected in the timeline, I'm going to come up to Controls. And I now have my CG controls right here. So I could very easily come in. Again, I have my text tool selected. I'm going to come over here to the name. I'm going to click in front of the name. I can now delete that name out, and type in whatever name I want. And I'll go to my selection tool, and we've got this text box down here. Again, I can reposition that, change the text, or maybe I just want to hit the delete key and completely get rid of it. So I can customize these very quickly and easily to my own look and feel. And again, we're going to zoom out just a little bit here, and we're going to zoom in on this title that we created. And it also has fade handles. So we can do a fade up and a fade down. And again, if we play this, now, maybe it's a little bit long and I want that title to be shorter. I simply grab the edge of the title and I shrink it down. Let's play it again. So now you can see how we can very quickly and easily put in clips, create in and out points. We can put our transitions in. We can add audio. We can also add titles. We can also animate titles inside of the TriCaster. I'm going to delete the title that we just had made. I'm going to go back to my media bin, and instead of using one of the templates, I'm just going to use a title page. Let's just drag a title page down, and I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit so we can see what we're working with, and I'm going to shrink it up a little bit. I'm going to drag my time bar so that it's over the top of it, so as I start manipulating it, I'll see it right on my screen. And again, with the CG selected, I'm going to go to the Controls tab. Let's go to Title, and let's go ahead and type in a title. I'm going to type in New Tech. Now I'm going to select the Selection tool, and again, I have styles in here, just like in live text. I can choose whatever style I want. It's got little handles on it in the selection mode that I can grab and size, and move, put the text wherever I want it to go. Again, if I come back over here to Title, I have my alignment tools here, so I can say center up horizontally and vertically, put it right in the middle of the screen. And now I want to animate it. So to do that, I'm going to go to the Positioning tab inside the title area. So I go to Positioning. Now I can animate this text. So again, as I move the cursor around, I get all my different options: move, crop, smooth, rotate, all these different things. Well, what I'm going to do with this clip is, with the clip selected, I'm going to hit Q. Q will automatically take you to the very first frame of any selected clip. Now, in the Positioner window, I'm going to move the mouse out here until this says Rotate. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to rotate this to where it's on its side. Now I'm going to hit W. W takes me to the last frame of the selected clip. And now I'm going to go ahead and spin this around one rotation to where it's flattened out on its other side. And if we play this, we'll see that we now have a rotating New Tech. We would have had a rotating New Tech if I would have keyframed any of that. All right, I need to, hold on. I'm going to start with, now I want to animate the text. And I was here. Now I want to animate the text, so I'm going to go to the Positioning tab inside of the titler. I can now animate this text over time. I'm going to hit the Q key with the CG selected, and Q takes me to the first frame of a selected clip, and W takes me to the last frame of a selected clip. So again, Q to go to the front of a clip that's selected, W to go to the back. So I hit Q, it takes me to the first frame, and I'm going to click on Keyframe. I'm then going to move out until my cursor says Rotate. Now, if I rotate with the left mouse button, it rotates on this axis. I'm going to reset that. If I rotate with the Y, I rotate on the other two axes. So I have full three-dimensional rotation on this object. Let's go ahead and reset that again. So again, at my first frame, I'm just going to rotate this so that it's flat on its side. Just like that. And again, we have a keyframe set there. Now I'm going to hit W. That takes me to the last frame. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate this around so it makes one 180-degree rotation ending up flat on this side. And because I had already made a keyframe at the first frame, when I went to the last frame and I made a change, it automatically created a keyframe for me at the last frame. Now if I play this back, you'll see that we have a rotating NewTek. Now one interesting trick that you can do is I'm going to select this CG, I'm going to hold the Control key down and left click and drag, and that's going to make a copy. So I just cloned the clip. I'm then going to butt that clip right up against the other one. Select that clip and go to Title. Again, with the text tool selected, I can now erase what's currently in here and type something new. Let's type TriCaster. Again, I can use my alignment tools to make sure that I'm aligned. And now we're going to play both of those clips back to back. You can see this is a very cool animated text effect and very quickly achievable inside of the Edit Media tab in your TriCaster. Okay, so if we're happy with our presentation here, again, we would just come down to the Render button and we would render this out so that we could, again, use it as a clip in the DDR inside of the TriCaster. Now again, if you took everything out of this, if I just left click and drag across everything except the CG, you could render just the CG out by itself as a TriCaster video. Let's go to Render, and we would render this as TriCaster Overlay, AVI with alpha channel. That would then become an animated motion graphic that you could load into the DDR and use as an overlay over any of your video. The last thing that I want to show you is, again, something that you could use in the live production environment. Very often when people bring you video, it's not the most pristine video that you've ever seen, and we need to be able to do something with it. Well, we can do it very quickly and easily with the editor inside of our TriCaster, and a prime example of something like this would be image stabilization. So let's say someone brings me a clip, and we're going to use this clip as our example. And this clip is going to be bouncing all over the place. I want to be able to stabilize this clip. To do that, I simply go to my tool shed. And the tool shed has a variety of tools. Right down here we have presets, markers, transitions, video, and wizards. I'm going to go into video. And with the video clip selected, I'm simply going to say I want to stabilize the video, and I'm going to click Perform. It's going to go ahead and analyze the video for me, and it is going to move the video around in real time and create a stabilized, non-destructive version of the stabilized video. Now, because we're working with 4:3 video in a 16:9 aspect screen, we will see the video bouncing around, but we can fix that as well. So here is our stabilized video, but as I said, we see the edges moving around. So if we wanted to, we could now simply go into our Control tab. I'm going to hit Q, and I'm going to blow the video up. Now we can see that we have our stabilized version of the video, and it's even full screen, even though we started with 4:3 content and we're working in 16:9. Again, we would be ready to render this out into a clip we could use in our DDR in our live production environment. There is also a standalone version of this editor that's a little more powerful. It's called Speed Edit. Speed Edit is also available from your NewTek reseller and could be run on an external laptop where you could prepare video and again bring it across the network for use in the TriCaster. For more information on Speed Edit, check out the NewTek website and talk to your NewTek reseller.